Hey YouTube, Pete Turner here, and I'm back again with another video. This video is going to be slightly different to the rest of the content on this channel, and over the last week I've been going through my previous videos and looking at the comment sections, and one comment that keeps popping up time and time again is, Pete, when are you going to talk about your tattoos? So today is that day. But before we get into that, I love to play a game with you, the viewer at home. It's an interactive experiment where I'll try to send a thought from my head through the screen into your mind at home. And if you want to play as usual, if you're sat down, sit with your feet flat. If you're stood up, ignore everything else around you and just listen to the sound of my voice. Because this video is tattoo related, I want you to imagine being in a tattoo studio. You visited this studio because you want the tattoo artist to tattoo a serene landscape somewhere on your body. I want you to imagine that he's laid out a series of colours in front of you. Listen to the colours. There's red, yellow, pink, green, orange, purple and blue, the colours of the rainbow. In a moment, you're going to think of one of these colours, and the tattoo artist is going to dip his machine into that ink and tattoo a landscape that's that colour somewhere on your skin. So for example, if you went for green, you might imagine a field or a park, somewhere you've actually visited. If he picks red, you might imagine or envision a field full of flowers. Please don't go for those colours or those landscapes because they're my thoughts. Imagine the tattoo artist takes the machine, dips it into one of the colours, and then tattoos a beautiful serene landscape on you somewhere. Do you have a landscape in mind? Hopefully the landscape that you're thinking of is the one that I wanted to transmit into your head, but let's find out. If I could take you up and boom boom bosh, boom boom, tell me I'm the only one that you love. Life could be a dream, sweetheart. Plans would come true, and I think that my whole life loving you, life could be a dream, sweetheart. So I finished. I wrote the word beach. Is that the landscape that you were thinking of? Let me know in the comments, and if you're not subscribed to this channel, subscribe now so that you can keep up to date with my antics and we could play a few more of these mind experiments. Anyway, on to the subject at hand, tattoos. You left me so many comments and questions that I've made a list of this so that we can keep it concise. The first question is, do tattoos hurt? Yes. That's the short and simple answer to that question. The most painful tattoo, well, this is a toss-up for me between my palm tattoo, which were done by Sade Scott, and my head tattoo. And the head tattoo, I were in there for about 6 hours. And I'm going to try to overlay some footage if I can find some from an old hard drive, because I did film it. I went through a period of my life where I filmed everything. And you can feel the needle rattling against the side of your skull. And the first hour of each tattoo, it's not that bad, but after about an hour, it's absolute agony. The palm, they have to dot the tattoo in, so it hurts like hell. And on the head, they have to keep coming back from one side to the other because a lot of it were freehand, so she kept adding detail in as she were going along. So just after I'd felt the pain relief here, as she moved on to this side, she then came back onto this side to re-tattoo some more of this. So Sade, if you're watching this, you're an animal. So my first tattoo, I actually got 14 years old. And yeah, you heard me right, 14. I was with my best friend at the time, Tom, and we'd skived off school, that means skipping school, and I'd borrowed some of his clothes and put those on so that I looked over 18, and we walked down to town because we were that poor that we couldn't afford a bus. And I can't even remember how we got the money for the tattoo. We probably sold CDs. We used to copy CDs as kids and sell those and other stuff like gardening and whatever else to earn pocket money, so it was probably one of those antics. And I got down to the tattoo studio in Bradford, which I'm not going to name. And he sat outside and pretended to smoke a cigarette. Now, neither of us smoked, so he sat through the entirety of me getting my tattoo pretending to smoke cigarettes just so that we appeared to be older. And I remember walking into the tattoo studio and he says to me, "What kind of tattoo do you want?" And I said, "I really don't know, I'm easygoing." And I pretended to be really cool, but inside I were absolutely bricking it. I was shitting myself thinking, oh my God, is he believing me? I thought that he were going to wait until I'd sat down, give me a form to fill out and then call the police because I were lying about my age, but he never did. He must have believed that I were 18, and why wouldn't he? We were off school, I wasn't dressed as a school kid. Sat in the chair, he told me the tattoo would be £20. It was just some Chinese symbols on my arm, it was my name, and then this grey outline around it. and I made sure it were years later, I made sure it were the right Chinese symbols. But I actually have chicken fried rice tattooed as symbols on my chest somewhere in all the tattoos that I've got, just for funny reasons, because I thought to myself, you know, it's probably going to say that. I'm not going to understand what it says, so I might as well get that tattooed anyway, and I did. Anyway, years later I had this covered up, but when I went to school I was the coolest kid on the playground, because a 14-year-old kid that had a tattoo, when nobody else who were 14 that I knew had a tattoo, to them it were the most rebellious thing that you could ever do, and of course they thought it were amazing, but looking back on it, it was idiotic. So if you're 14 and thinking about getting a tattoo, do not. It's probably the only tattoo that I regret getting, and it wasn't the tattoo that I regretted, it was getting it done at that age. I got home and my gran found out about it. I lived with my grandma, my nan. I never lived with my mum or dad. I saw my dad infrequently. My mum, I don't know where she is and what she's doing. But my nan absolutely went mental, and my uncle kicked the shit out of me for getting that tattoo. So please don't put a wedge between you and your family or you and your friends by being stupid and getting a tattoo at 14. It's not cool, and it really isn't, in hindsight, impressive. It was just stupid. That moves on to the next question. Do I regret them? The honesty is that there's no tattoos that I really regret, because each one of them is tied to a memory, and each one of them is tied to a time in my life that has an interesting story, and this is almost my way of representing them visually. I'm a canvas wherein different artists can tattoo their ideas onto my body, and sometimes I don't go in there with a specific idea of a tattoo. I say to Shads, for example, when I'm getting a tattoo from her, I'll say, you know, just tattoo what you feel should be tattooed, and I let her use her own intuition to put her mark on me, because I'm an open canvas now for her to essentially put whatever she wants on there, whoever's tattooing me. And that means that tattoos like this one, the beach tattoo, I'll never regret, because there's a funny story associated with it. And when I get older, I'm still not going to regret them. Everybody says, you know, when you get older, you're going to regret them when you're a lot older. No, I'll be this cool pensioner that's sat in a care home, and my skin will be so wrinkly, I'll be like a prune. And my skin's probably going to be so tight that I'll just be one black tattoo, and you'll have to put a peg in my back just to be able to see the tattoos I had before. But no, I love tattoo culture. My walls have got tattoos of circus ladies that had tattoos, because it was such a novel thing to have tattoos as a woman back then, that they put them in circuses, and they made a lot of money actually in the freak shows. I've got pictures of sailors getting tattoos, elderly women, elderly men. I've got lots of different tattoo magazines, books and articles around the house. Of course, I'm covered in tattoos, and that leads me on to, you know, my next two questions. How many tattoos have you got? And can you share a couple of your tattoos with us? The first answer is, I don't know how many tattoos that I've got. I've got too many to count. I have more tattoos now than I do bare bits of skin. A couple of memories. Okay, I'll share with you a couple of fun stories. The first one is this, hashtag Yorkshire tea. Now, I got that tattoo on the shoot of Predictogram, and I didn't create that effect. I was just the artist that were doing the trailer. And Nathan Lindley from Skinworks said to me, if you guess the card, I'll give you a free tattoo, whatever you want. And I said, okay, but can I tattoo Dwayne? And he said yes. So, of course, the Eight of Spades were right. He tattooed Yorkshire tea on me, and I tattooed it on Dwayne. And when Dwayne were interviewing Dynamo loved the tattoo that much, because he's from Yorkshire, he were like, can I take a photograph of it? So they're the coolest tattoos, and it was such a fun night, a fun day, filming that and hanging around with Dwayne. And whilst I'm on the subject of Dwayne, another tattoo that we've both got is hashtag cans, which is very much the same as Yorkshire tea, it just says the word cans. And so let me tell you that story. So we're out in Miami shooting How to Read Minds. It were probably about 3 a.m. The bars had started to close. There were a couple of bars that were open, because Miami is the city that never sleeps. But what a lot of people don't know about Miami is that they actually shut the supermarkets, or they stop them serving alcohol, so it forces people down into the bars and down onto the beachfront where you can buy drinks, and I think that they pay the supermarkets a fee to do that. So I go into this supermarket and I see this broom through this freezer, this fridge, and I pull the broom out and I take out this big can of Corona, a huge can of beer. And I was smiling because the guy behind the counter reminded me of Kelly Jones from the Stereophonics. So I went, hey, Kelly, in the most northern accent that I could do, because I knew that Americans love the northern accent. Hey, Kelly, how much is this can of beer? And he says to me, "Oh, I'm sorry, but it's not for sale. We can't sell alcohol at this time." So I closed the freezer. It was a fridge freezer, hence the confusion. And then I walked over to the counter, and I took $5 out of my pocket and said, if I put this $5 on the counter, I think the can were about $3. If I put this $5 on the counter and I walk out, are you going to ring the police and tell them that I stole from the supermarket? He said, no. I said, are you going to take that $5 and put it in your pocket, Kelly? And he went, yeah. And I went, Kelly. Popped open the can, drank the full can, put the can on the counter, shook Kelly's hand, and we left. And Dwayne found it that hilarious that for about 200 metres up the road, he was just laughing in hysterics. He had tears coming out of his eyes. And then we saw a tattoo studio and we were like, it'd be rude not to get a tattoo whilst we're in Miami. And so he said to me, what shall we get tattooed? And I said, let's get #cans, hence #cans. But every single one of these tattoos have a memory and a place and a time and a funny story. And whenever I'm traveling, I try to get a new tattoo from that place that reminds me of that memory or time. So basically, I'm a walking picture book. So that leads me on to the idea of the title of this. You're thinking about getting a tattoo. So what should you look for when you're going to go get a tattoo? Well, it's simple. Firstly, the most important thing is make sure you go to the right artist. Find an artist that you connect with. Don't just go to the first tattoo parlor you find and get the first tattoo that you find, because I promise you, I've experienced this. You buy cheap, you buy twice. I've had a series of ridiculous tattoos. I don't regret them because I've got so many tattoos. One of them was Pac-Man. I had Pac-Man tattooed on my arm, you know, and this arm's black now because I decided I wanted to go over the biomechanical stuff that were on my arm with a black tattoo. I like the black tattoo. I can also still see some of the tattoo underneath, and I like those tattoos as well. But you might not be in the same position as me. You might not have as many tattoos as I have. You might not end up getting as many as I've got. So you need to be sure the tattoo that you get is right for you. Am I recommending people watching this video to go out and get a tattoo? Absolutely not. Do I recommend that you get a tattoo? Absolutely not. Do you need a tattoo to be a mentalist or a magician? Absolutely not. Please don't think that this is a recommendation because I've got them for you to go out and get them. Really take your time to find an artist that you connect with, look at their portfolio, find a style of work and a style of artistry that you really love. Then commit to the artist, not the artwork. Commit to the artist first, then get them to design something that's special and unique and reminds you of something that you're going to be in love with for the rest of your life. Don't get partners' initials, don't get friends' names, don't get anybody else's name, don't get your family name. Get a piece of artwork that you're really going to connect with, that's going to remind you of that moment and that memory for the rest of your life. Then it's worth getting. So it moves on to the next thing. How have tattoos affected my life? Well, in a massive amount of different ways. I could never now walk into a job that's in an office, in a bank, in the police station. It affects me when I'm getting corporate work because they don't want tattoo artists. I can do tattoo conventions, which is great because I fill my time with that type of work. You know, it affects you. It affects you socially. It affects the relationships you have with your family. My gran, she said to me, "You're not coming to my funeral," because I had tattoos done on my face. Nan, you're going to be dead. You're not going to know whether I'm coming or not. But that's by the by. You know, she has got over them, but it took her a year each time to get over the fact that I had them on my skin. And she whinges every single time that I see, "Oh, you've got more tattoos. It's disgusting. Get that muck off your skin." One year, she got me in a headlock at Christmas. She took a napkin, did that thing that grands do where they licked it and tried to rub it off my skin. So in short, yes, it's going to affect your life in a multitude of different ways. Your family, friends, and relationships that you get into, they're all going to be affected because of tattoos. And it's a big responsibility to be covered in tattoos the way that I am. If they're small tattoos that can be covered up, that's not such a bad thing. But one of the ways that it really affects you is if you're going through border control, for example, into another country, and they take one look at you and they ask you what it is that you do. If I'm traveling through for a holiday, I'll say, "Oh, I used to be a tattoo artist, I'm just having a bit of time out," and that's usually fine because it matches what they feel it is that I am when I'm going through border control. However, sometimes when I'm going through, if I'm in a country to perform, they'll say to me, "Well, what do you do?" If I don't mention, "Oh, I used to be a tattoo artist, but I'm now a performer," then what happens is they pull me straight in because it doesn't match the vision they have inside their head. If I'm in a supermarket in a place that's not cultured for tattoos and face tattoos, what they do is they stare at you and they talk about you and they avoid you. You can see people actively pulling their kids away, or kids are pointing at you, and you've got to get used to that. When it comes to people looking at you in relationships, you know, they're going to look at you and judge you based on your tattoos. Having tattoos on your face, not everybody's going to like that. So it leads me to the last section in this video. I'd love in the comments to hear your thoughts about tattoos, what tattoos you're planning on getting, whether you like tattoos, whether you don't like tattoos. Let's talk about it in the comments, but please be respectful to other people. No comments that are nasty, no hurtful comments. Be honest, but you don't have to pick on people to get your point across. If you don't have tattoos and you don't like them, say why you don't like them. If you do have tattoos and you want more tattoos, let me know what your plans are. If you've got a new face tattoo, new hand tattoos, new tattoos in general, put in the comments your Instagram photographs and I'll take a look at them. So until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for following this channel, because it's people like you that inspire me to keep making content like this. Take care.